Hey everyone, welcome back to the Mark Loeffler Experience. We have a great show here for you today. We're going to be talking numbers again. I know you guys love numbers. But yeah, we're going to talk about why we invest in real estate and why we invest in Canadian real estate and why we're investing where we are today. Now, I don't know if you guys have seen the news in the last 24 hours. Canada's population growth hit its fastest pace in 5 decades thanks to record immigration. Now, wherever you are on the immigration front, Canada needs this because we need, no offense, we need people to come in and work. We're an aging population, birth rates are lower, so therefore not enough people who are born here will support the generation that's already come. So I'm just going to leave it at that. Anyways, we're not going to get into it. But yeah, number of international migrants to Canada totaled 822,866. Now, obviously not all permanent residents. Some are students, some are on work visas. Yeah, so I mean, from July 1st to October 1st, the number of Canadians grew 362,000. That's 1% of the population in 6 months. Fastest quarterly gain since 1957 when the country was in the midst of a baby boom and welcoming refugees fleeing Hungary. So anyways, there's a lot of people coming to Canada. This is why, in my opinion, Canadian real estate will and still is a good investment. Buy it properly. Again, I'm going to tell you, buy it properly right now. I think there's some deals out there. And if it doesn't look like a deal, maybe make it a deal and ask for it that way. It doesn't hurt to ask. You never get what you don't ask for. Oh, and I was told to let you know if you stay till the end of the video, there's going to be something special I'm going to talk about. So yeah, I mean, let's look, like where are people going, right? So out of that many people, this is not all of them. I don't know, this is old, but you can get it basically based on where it is, right? So, 230,000 people are calling Ontario home. And as much as, maybe they're going to Northern Ontario, I'm going to suggest the majority of them are coming to Southwestern Ontario between Niagara Falls and, say, Ottawa, right? 401 corridor. I know a lot of people investing on the 401 corridor and obviously doing very well because there's lots of people moving in. And let's be honest, the number of housing starts, it's not going up to meet that. It's kind of staying level. British Columbia was second, Quebec was third, which is funny because if you look at overall population, Quebec is getting less of a share than, say, British Columbia because, British Columbia just has less population. So again, we're looking at that and saying, wow, British Columbia, 83,000, that's like 1.5% of their current population. And let's be honest, I think we can look at this and say, oh, based on these numbers, that's about 400,000, and we know what the number was, so we can probably double this. So, British Columbia probably is going to grow by 3% just by immigration this year. Not births, not in-migration, provincial in-migration, none of that. And where do they go? Well, they're going to go to major population centers where there's jobs, where there's, they have a community, just like in Ontario. Quebec, Alberta's the same. So we figure 100,000 people moving into Alberta from outside of Canada over the year, and Alberta's population is 4.6 million. Well, that's it. It's about 2.5%. That's a big number, right? You get 100,000 people in a 4 million population. Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Nova Scotia, New Brunswick. But that's just one of the stories, right? So this is a story. This is one of the pieces I look at to say, okay, where are people going? And you expect those to be the top 4. They're the most popular, the most populous provinces. And, the most populous provinces are going to get more people because that's where the jobs are. That's where the money is. That's where the communities are. Well, let's go. I found this to be an interesting stat right here. This is Canadian net interprovincial migration. I'm wowed by this chart. Look at this. Look at how many people are moving. This is just in the third quarter of 2022. This is one quarter, 20,000 people moved from somewhere else in Canada to Alberta. This is why I think there's a huge opportunity here. Now, Ontario, people are moving out. What's that, 11,581? They do see more of the immigration coming through. That's a bit of a rounding error for the Ontario population, but still, this is not a rounding error for the Alberta population. That's an extra 80,000 people a year. That's another 2% of the population. So you get 2.5% coming in immigration, and you have another 2% coming by in migration. That's a big number. They're all going to need some place to sleep. All going to need some place to make meals and do whatever. And this is why I'm enjoying Alberta at the moment, because we are seeing this boom of people moving in. And yeah, sure, immigration is typically probably more buying homes than renting. But all of that is good for the economy out there. More home sales create more jobs. More jobs create more renters. It's the same as when Toyota puts a factory somewhere. You know, that one Toyota job, sure, he might be making 35, 40, 45 bucks an hour, but it spins off 7 other jobs, right? So every home sale spins off other jobs, because we know when somebody buys a home that they go in and they spend $10,000 to $30,000 on renovating that property right away. So, you know, tradespeople, people working retail at Home Depot or Rona or wherever, right? Like, all these things accumulate to bring the economy bigger and bigger. Plus, then we have, you know, oil at where it is. As long as it stays over $60, $70 a barrel, that's huge royalties in Alberta as well, which hopefully they're going to then invest in creating other jobs outside of the oil industry. And they are doing a very good job of it in clean tech and technology. The construction has always been very strong out there. But yeah, I mean, let's look at these. So they're moving from Alberta, or from Ontario and BC, and they're going to Alberta, smaller on Nova Scotia and New Brunswick, Prince Edward Island, Newfoundland, Yukon. So they're moving out of Saskatchewan. Again, 1,500, so 6,000 people a year moving out of Saskatchewan. Quebec, 6,000 people. Manitoba, they're losing a few. I mean, I understand. Have you ever? I don't know. You can say about the winters in Alberta too, right? So at least they have mountains in Alberta. That's what I love about Alberta, to be honest with you, the mountains. BC, and yeah, I think these are, I don't know, they're probably younger people who are going over to Alberta for opportunity and to be able to afford a home, right? Because that's what, yeah, they're fleeing to affordable provinces. BC and Ontario are very, very expensive to live. Alberta is just that much cheaper. The average home price in Edmonton is $300,000. The average home price in Calgary is what, $440,000, $460,000? Like, you can't buy a condo downtown Toronto for that, or downtown Vancouver, right? And this is kind of telling. So it's the 11th consecutive quarter Ontario failed to attract more residents than it lost to other provinces. Also, BC, it's the first time it had an outflow in nearly a decade. So it's been positive for 10 years. It's the first time in nearly a decade that they had an outflow. I don't know, I just find these things interesting. If you guys don't find these interesting, well, obviously you're not watching if you don't find it interesting. So thanks everybody for watching. Anyways, guys, I think I've spoken enough about this. You guys get it. You guys are watching so far. Definitely the thing I wanted to talk about is, I've mentioned on a couple other videos, I'm going to be doing coaching for 5 people next year. If you want to be one of those 5 people, definitely reach out to me on Instagram. We think we have 2 spots left. I have 3 people who have signed up so far, so 2 spots left. And if you're interested, we can talk numbers all day long. All right, everyone, happy holidays. We'll catch you next week. Have a great one.